So I know I've done quite a few smoked turkey breast videos. I even did one a couple of weeks ago, but it's getting close to Christmas for a lot of us. We're gonna be eating turkey. It's getting very close to Thanksgiving for you guys in the States. A lot of people are cooking turkey, and I really wanted to try this recipe. So I'm gonna be making up a maple bourbon brine turkey breast. You could brine the whole bird or just the breast. And this recipe was inspired by my buddy Massa of Massa's Barbecue in California. We were talking about turkey breast and he said that he does a maple bourbon brine. He sent me the recipe. I've adapted it a little bit so it fits me and what I like personally. I can't see how it's gonna be anything less than incredible. So we're gonna start off with a couple of turkey breasts. This is basically a boneless turkey crown. It's 2 breasts together. Get these out of the packet. And I'm using a stainless steel tray just because I don't love turkey juices being all over my cutting board. Ooh, that's heavy. So as you can probably see there, 2 large turkey breasts. And the first thing I'm gonna do is separate them. If you're buying them like this as a pair, they normally come skin on, connected by a piece of cartilage. I personally like to take the skin off when I'm cooking turkey breast like this, kind of traditional Texas barbecue restaurant style. That's 1, skin off. And there's 2. Skinless, boneless turkey breasts, ready to be brined. So if you've watched this channel for any length of time, you'll know that I'm a big fan of brining stuff. And the reason for that, it adds salinity, so it makes it flavorful all the way through the cut. It helps to keep it more tender by damaging some of the muscle fibers, so it's not as tough and tight. And if you're doing a wet brine like I am, through diffusion, you'll be adding more liquid to your meat. And that liquid is gonna be water, which is flavorless, apart from the salt and other flavorings that you add to the brine. But adding extra moisture and juiciness to your turkey breast is never going to be a bad thing. So where I come from, if you're buying raw turkey breasts like this, they're almost never brined. In fact, I've never seen a pre-brined one. If you're buying one from the supermarket and it's kind of vacuum sealed, it probably is basted or brined in some way. But if you're from anywhere else in the world, just make sure you work out whether the turkey that you're buying has already been brined or not. If it hasn't, then you can definitely follow this recipe. If it has, then you may just need to be careful about over brining it or even diluting the amount of salt that was in it when you bought it. But with the exception of over brining your turkey and possibly making it mushy physically, you're not going to over brine it by brining it in this solution that I'm going to make now. So let's make up our brine. So what I have here is 9,000 grams of water, cold water. And I went for 9,000 grams because I thought in this container, this amount of water is probably going to be about right to hold my turkey breasts. It wouldn't matter if I was using this or a swimming pool to brine those 2 turkey breasts. The recipe I'm going to give you is going to be based on percentages, and your salt, maple syrup, bourbon will all be a measurement of that. So whether you're brining a big whole turkey in a Yeti cooler or just a single breast, you'll be able to use this recipe. So me personally, 9,000 grams of water. Next up, we're going to go in with some salt, and then we're going to get this mixed round until the water is no longer cloudy. Now that's looking much less cloudy, you're going to go in with some bourbon and some maple syrup. And I know maple bourbon brines aren't anything new. Lots of people have done these, but I'm really excited to give it a go. I think the bourbon will give a nice, deep, rich, oaky, complex flavor. The maple is gonna add a little bit of sweetness, which I quite like with my turkey anyway. That alcohol is gonna help to tenderize the turkey somewhat as well. Then we go in with 1 turkey breast and 2 turkey breast. Look at that, spot on. We'll get a lid on that, and that will go into the fridge for 48 hours. So you definitely could go shorter. I wouldn't recommend going any longer than 48 hours. I've tested the 5% salt brine at 48 hours and longer, and 48 hours seems to be the best. After that, it tends to get a little bit mushy and you lose some turkey flavor. This also has the addition of the alcohol in it, which is something I don't usually do, which is almost certainly gonna speed up the breakdown of the tissue. So I'm gonna stick with 48 hours. You could go 24, but I wouldn't go longer. Also, I've really stripped back the recipe that Massa sent over to me. I've gone with simple salt, maple syrup, and bourbon. If you wanted to add things like brown sugar and aromatics, then you absolutely can. For me personally, unless you're boiling your brine first and then rapidly cooling it down before you use it as a brine, I feel like a lot of those aromatic flavors don't come out. And once I've smoked it for a couple of hours anyway and wrapped it in butter and all that kind of stuff, I typically can't taste those aromatics in the end anyway. So I like to keep it really simple with the things that I think I will definitely be able to taste. Also, you might be wondering why I'm not doing a boiled brine, but rather just going straight in with cold water. And the reason for that is purely purely simplicity. There is nothing that I really need to dissolve in here other than salt. And there are no aromatics in there like bay leaves and peppercorns that I need to boil in order to extract those oils from in order to get the flavors. And really boiling your brine liquid first really is to do those things. Dissolve the solids and extract flavors. The maple syrup dissolved pretty quickly, the alcohol mixed up within the water pretty easily, and the salt dissolved in 5 minutes. So to save me the job of having to boil the brine, possibly lose liquid in the way of steam, wait for it to cool down before I could put my turkey breasts in there, I like to go straight in with a cold brine. Just makes sense for me personally. And one of the other reasons I wanted to do this recipe was because it gave me an excuse to go out and buy a new bottle of bourbon. And I haven't had a bottle of bourbon in the house for a while. So very good. Anyway, 2 days later, 48 hours later-ish, these turkey breasts are brined. And again, avoiding turkey juices on my board. Smells good, can definitely smell the bourbon. Let these drain off for a little bit. Much, much heavier. These breasts will have taken on some of the liquid as they're absorbing the salt. And they're also much firmer. Can definitely smell the bourbon, but can also smell the maple syrup. A little bit of sweetness. Smells very good. So in terms of seasoning these, I'm gonna keep these Central Tex-ish style. So I'm definitely gonna go with some black pepper. You could go with just black pepper. Obviously these have been brined with salt. They should be plenty salty enough. But if you wanted to add a little bit of a rub, you definitely can do that too. And that's what I'm gonna do today. I'm gonna be adding my own seasoned salt. These will be salty enough, but a little bit of seasoned salt over the top to bring some texture, some color, and a little bit of extra flavor across the crust is never gonna be a bad thing. However, before I do that, I'm gonna get these shaped up, ready to go onto the pit. So obviously these are turkey breasts, so they're breast shaped, just like a large chicken breast. And you can cook them like this. I've cooked them like this many, many times. But more recently, I've been balling them up, trying to make them a little bit more consistent in shape, so this part doesn't cook a lot quicker than this part. And I do that by taking the little tail and just folding it under the breast, and it just makes for a nice round turkey breast. Just fold that tail under, and those should be ready to go. Then I'm just gonna go across the top with a nice, even, consistent layer of 16 mesh black pepper. And I just season the top, the presentation side. Then my choice of extra rub today is just gonna be my own seasoned salt. As I say, it's gonna add some color, a little bit more salinity, a little bit more flavor. And we definitely don't need to go heavy on this. Should treat this seasoned salt almost like a table salt, because it is mostly table salt. And of course, these are already brined. So you're definitely not completely safe from over salting these. So those are looking good. We'll take them out to the pit. So we're gonna be running on the 250 gallon offset today, and we're pretty much gonna be running it around 250. Probably, if not definitely, for the whole cook. I wanna get some nice smoke color on there, I wanna get some nice smoke flavor, but I don't wanna cook these too slow. So make sure that we get some nice smoke going, and come back in a little bit, check on the temps. So those are gonna cook away for a little bit, don't need a huge amount of attention, but I just wanted to mention that there are two things I think are really important when you're cooking a Texas style turkey breast like this. Firstly is to brine it, or make sure that it is brined, to increase the flavor, the juiciness, all that kind of stuff. But the second thing is to make sure that you cook your turkey to the correct temperature. And that doesn't necessarily mean the temperature that your government says that you should. And I've talked about this before at length, but in case this is your first time hearing this, you do not need to cook your turkey to 165 Fahrenheit in order for it to be completely safe. Food safety and bacterial reduction is a product of time and temperature. So at 165, yes, enough bacteria has gone that you are safe to eat it, but you can also achieve the same level of bacterial reduction at lower temps, such as 150 Fahrenheit, providing you hold it there for at least 4 minutes. I'll put a little chart on screen so you can see the temperatures in Fahrenheit and Celsius and how long you need to hold at those temps in order to get the same level of bacterial reduction as you do at the 165. Obviously the benefits of this, just like a steak or a pork chop or a lamb fillet, cooking your meats to a lower temperature normally results in a juicier outcome. So that's exactly what I'm going to do today. I'm going to cook these turkey breasts up to 150. Once I get there, I'm going to go away, time it for about 4 minutes, come back, check it again. If it's at 150 or above, these turkey breasts are coming off. One thing to remember though, if you're cooking a whole turkey, you need to consider the temperature that the dark meat, the legs, the thighs need to get to in order for them to be nice and tender. That's not just about food safety, that's about the breakdown of connective tissue. So you're gonna wanna go higher for that. So pretty much 5 hours on the dot. These are temping with my Chef's Temp Final Touch X10, bang on 151, 153. They're looking quite dark right now, but they will definitely gloss up a little bit once we wrap them in some butter. Let's take them off, take them inside, and we'll get this top side down onto some butter, salted or unsalted, it doesn't really matter. And then we're gonna wrap this up really nice and tight. All of that butter is under there, you might be able to see it, it's really squishy. So I'm gonna try and squeeze out all that space left by the cold butter. Now it's starting to melt. And now this can rest on the kitchen side for however long you need it to rest, or let it rest for 10 minutes or so, chuck it in an oven, keep it warm. For me, I'm ready to slice into it, finish filming this video, so it's gonna rest just here for 20 minutes. So a few minutes and a few bourbons later actually, I'm gonna open this up. And what we should have is some nice glossy looking turkey breast. That is looking good. So I'm gonna put this little parcel of butter to the side and take a couple of slices. Hopefully you can see just how juicy that is on the fresh cut as well. Yeah, if you serve that up at Thanksgiving and Christmas, you're gonna be a very popular person. Dip it in that butter, super juicy, see what the flavor's like. So straight off the bat, the salinity is there. Perfectly salted, exactly how I like it. The maple bourbon, you can taste just very, very, very subtly. The maple gives a nice sweetness, similar to what you'd get if you rested it with honey in the butter rest. And the bourbon definitely gives it a kind of caramel vanilla flavor, and definitely not like when you bite into it, it tastes like caramel and vanilla. But if I'm trying to dissect the different flavors and smells that I'm getting whilst I'm eating it, just kind of has a caramelly rich flavor. The sweetness is there, the bourbon's there, the salt is there. When you brine it, cook it to the right temperature and dunk it in butter, it's good. So yeah, I would definitely do this recipe again. I feel like the big heavy hitters in this recipe really is the salt and the maple syrup and the bourbon, just accompanying flavors, but I 100% definitely think they bring something. And I kind of feel like I can taste other parts of an old fashioned in this for some reason. But it might just be me. But yeah, very, very good. Not much else to say about that. Definitely brine your turkey if it's not already brined. If it is already brined, you can probably still just follow this exact recipe and nothing's gonna go wrong. Cook it to the right temperature, super, super important. You're gonna have perfect, perfect turkey breast. So I think this is what we're gonna have for Christmas Day. Normally I just salt brine my turkey for Christmas Day, but I really do think the small extra step of just some maple syrup or honey maybe, and some bourbon adds a little depth of flavor with almost zero effort, other than weighing those two things out. Highly recommend it. So if you got to this point in the video, I really, really, really do appreciate it. If there was something good about this video for you and it entertained you, taught you something, or just generally made your day a little bit better, you can help me out for free by liking, commenting, subscribing, doing all that kind of stuff. It really, really, really does help me out. So let me know if you use this recipe for Thanksgiving or for Christmas. Big shout out to Massa's Barbecue for inspiring me to do this. I'll drop his details below, and I'll see you next week for another video.